Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome back to English Active Listening. I'm Alyssa, your guide on this incredible journey to mastering the rhythm and flow of natural English. I am absolutely delighted you're joining me again today for part 6 of our comprehensive series, How to Speak English Fast and Understand Natives. If you've been with us from the very beginning, you know we've been uncovering some fantastic secrets to understanding and speaking English with greater ease. And if you're just tuning in, a special welcome to you. You've arrived at the perfect place to truly accelerate your English listening and speaking skills. Today, we're going to dive deep into a concept that is truly foundational for both understanding fast English and for speaking more like a native. Connected speech. Now, don't let that term intimidate you. While it might sound a little bit academic, it's actually one of the most natural, intuitive, and fascinating aspects of how we communicate every single day. Think of it this way. When you learn individual English words, it's like learning about each unique drop of water in a vast ocean. Each drop is distinct, important on its own. But when native speakers engage in conversation, those individual words, those drops of water, don't remain isolated. They flow together, merging, blending, and sometimes even changing slightly, creating a smooth, continuous current of sound. That, my friends, is the essence of connected speech. It's the reason why, when a native speaker talks quickly, it can sometimes feel like they're just running all their words together in one long stream. And you might find yourself thinking, wait, what did they just say? It's not magic. It's not that they're mumbling. It's simply connected speech in full swing. So let's break it down. What exactly is connected speech? Simply put, it's the natural phenomenon where words in a sentence aren't pronounced with distinct pauses or breaks between them, as they might be if you were reading them slowly and carefully from a dictionary or a textbook. Instead, the end of one word very often blends seamlessly with the beginning of the next word. Sometimes sounds change their form, and occasionally a sound might even disappear completely. Why does this happen? Well, it all boils down to efficiency and effort. Our mouths and tongues naturally seek the path of least resistance. It's much easier and quicker for us to connect sounds smoothly than to create tiny, awkward breaks between every single word. Try an experiment with me. Say the phrase, "I am going to the store," but make sure you pronounce each word with a very clear, deliberate pause after it. I am going to the store. How does that feel? A bit stiff, perhaps? A little robotic, wouldn't you say? Now, try saying it naturally, as you would in a real conversation. I'm going to the store. Notice how going to often transforms into gonna, and the entire phrase just glides off your tongue. That smooth, effortless flow is precisely what connected speech is all about. Now, a common reaction when first learning about this is, oh dear, this sounds incredibly complicated. And yes, it can present a bit of a challenge initially, but let me assure you, understanding connected speech is absolutely fundamental for achieving a high level of fluency in English. And here's why. Because native speakers employ connected speech constantly in virtually every sentence they utter. If you don't grasp how individual words link and merge together, you'll be perpetually trying to isolate and decode each word separately in your mind. This process is not only mentally exhausting, but it also means you'll very likely miss the overall meaning of the sentence or struggle to keep up with the pace of a conversation. It's a bit like trying to appreciate a beautiful piece of music by listening to each individual note in isolation. rather than enjoying the harmonious melody created when those notes are played together. Once you begin to recognize and anticipate these connected speech patterns, it's truly like unlocking a secret code of the English language. Suddenly, you'll find your comprehension skyrocketing, and you'll even start speaking with a much more natural, native-like rhythm yourself. So let's embark on a detailed exploration of some of the most common and important types of connected speech. We'll break down each one, provide you with clear, relatable examples, and then, as always, we'll dedicate some valuable practice time for you to try them out yourself. This isn't just theory, it's about practical application. Our first major type of connected speech is what we call linking. This is perhaps the most fundamental and straightforward form of connection. It occurs when the very end of one word connects directly and smoothly to the beginning of the next word, almost as if they were a single, longer word. The most prevalent and important type of linking you'll encounter is consonant-to-vowel linking. This happens precisely when a word finishes with a consonant sound, and the very next word begins with a vowel sound. In these instances, that final consonant sound from the first word essentially jumps over and attaches itself to the beginning of the subsequent word. Let's illustrate this with a classic example. Think about the simple phrase, "pick it up." If you were to say each word in isolation with distinct pauses, it would be pick it up. But when we utter this phrase naturally and at a typical conversational pace, something fascinating happens. The K sound at the end of pick links seamlessly with the I sound at the beginning of it, causing it to sound much more like pie kit. And then the T sound at the end of it conveniently links with the U sound at the beginning of up, making it sound like it up. So the entire phrase pick it up becomes something closer to a fluid pike it up. Can you hear that subtle yet significant transformation? Try saying it aloud yourself, gradually speeding up. Pick it up, pike it up, pike it up. Let's try another common example, an apple. We don't typically say an apple with a noticeable pause or break between the words. Instead, the N sound from an links directly to the A sound from apple, making it sound like a single unit. An apple. Say it with me now, focusing on that smooth transition. An apple. Notice how much more effortless and natural that feels? Here's one more for good measure. Turn off the light. When speaking quickly, we don't pronounce turn off with a break. The N sound from turn beautifully connects to the O sound from off, resulting in a pronunciation closer to turn off. Try it yourself. Turn off the light. Feel the words flow together without interruption. Now, let's explore a slightly more nuanced type of linking that occurs when a word ending in a vowel sound is followed by a word also starting with a vowel sound. In these cases, native speakers will often insert a very subtle, almost imperceptible IE sound or W sound between the two vowels. This isn't a hard and fast rule like consonant-to-vowel linking, but it's a common strategy to make the transition between vowel sounds smoother and less abrupt. For instance, consider go out. It's rarely pronounced as a detached go out. You might instinctively hear a tiny W sound subtly inserted, making it sound more like go out. Or take I agree. Often you might detect a delicate Y sound appearing between I and agree, resulting in something like I agree. While you don't necessarily need to consciously produce these intrusive sounds when you speak, Becoming aware of them is incredibly beneficial for your listening comprehension, as they contribute significantly to the overall flow of spoken English. All right, let's move on to our second big category of connected speech: assimilation. This is a fascinating phenomenon where a sound changes its quality or pronunciation to become more like a neighboring sound. It's as if sounds in a sequence influence each other, becoming more similar or assimilating, because it's simply more comfortable and efficient for our mouths and vocal cords to produce them that way. It's all about phonetic ease. A very common and easily noticeable example of assimilation occurs when D or T sounds combine with an adjacent ui sound. Think about the question, did you? When spoken quickly and naturally, it rarely sounds like a clear, distinct did you. Instead, the D sound at the end of did frequently blends with the Y sound at the beginning of you to create a distinct ju sound. So, did you transforms into did you? As in, did you see that movie last night? Try saying, did you? Several times, gradually increasing your speed. Can you feel and hear your tongue and lips naturally forming that juh sound? It's quite remarkable. Similarly, for the T sound followed by a Y sound, consider the phrase don't you. The T sound from don't often merges with the Y sound from you to produce a ch sound. So don't you becomes don't you. For example, don't you want some more coffee? Say don't you aloud, paying close attention to that emerging ch sound. Another interesting form of assimilation involves N sounds. For instance, the common phrase in thee will very often sound like inda or even in na. The N sound subtly takes on a slight quality or influence from the following sound. Or consider $10. When spoken quickly, the N in 10 can sometimes sound a bit like anim sound, especially when it's followed by a B or P sound, which are made with the lips. So $10 might transform into something like $10. Again, remember, you don't need to consciously force these changes when you're speaking, but recognizing them when you're listening is an absolutely critical step towards improving your comprehension of natural fast English. Let's now explore our third type of connected speech: elision. This term refers to the phenomenon where a sound is completely dropped, omitted, or seems to disappear entirely in connected speech. It's as if some sounds are just a bit shy or lazy and decide to take a brief holiday. A very common instance of elision involves the T or D sound at the end of a word, especially when that word is immediately followed by another word starting with a consonant sound. Consider the common phrase, next door. If you articulate each sound distinctly, you'd hear a clear T in next. However, when we say it naturally and quickly, you'll often notice that the T sound in next is barely audible, if at all. It just becomes next door. The T sound simply vanishes, making the transition smoother. Try it. Say next door several times, focusing on how your tongue doesn't quite produce that distinct T sound. Another excellent example is walked past. The K and T sounds at the end of walked can often be significantly reduced, and the T in particular might almost disappear, especially before the P sound in past. It might sound more like walk past. Think about words that end in ed when they are followed by certain consonant sounds. For example, I baked cookies. If you utter this phrase rapidly, the D sound in baked might be barely audible, or even completely disappear before the C sound in cookies. It can sound strikingly similar to I bake cookies sometimes, even though grammatically we know it's baked. Elision also very frequently happens with the word and. More often than not, the D sound in and disappears, particularly when it's situated between two consonant sounds. So the classic British phrase fish and chips almost universally sounds like fish and chips, or black and white transforms into black and white. We hear this reduction of and to simply n, or a very soft un, constantly in everyday conversation. Our fourth type of connected speech involves what we call intrusive sounds. These are similar in nature to the subtle Y or W sounds we touched upon earlier in linking. But in this category, they are often a bit more pronounced, and they intrude, or appear in places where there isn't actually a corresponding letter in the spelling of the words. These intrusive sounds primarily occur when two vowel sounds meet, creating a slight break that needs smoothing over. The intrusive R sound is notably common, particularly in certain accents like British English, but you can certainly hear it in other accents as well. This fascinating phenomenon occurs when a word ending in a vowel sound is followed by a word that starts with a vowel sound. An R sound is subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, inserted between them to ensure a smooth transition. For example, consider the geographical pairing, Africa and Asia. Quite often, especially in British accents, you might distinctly hear Africa Randasia. Notice there is no R in Africa itself, but it's added to seamlessly link the final A sound to the initial A sound of and. Another good illustration is law and order. This might sound like law rand order. While not universally present in all accents, recognizing this intrusive R is a significant step in understanding diverse native speech patterns. We also have the intrusive W sound, as we briefly mentioned when discussing linking. This can make phrases like go out sound like go out. And similarly, the intrusive J or Y sound, which can subtly appear in phrases like I am, making it sound like I am. These intrusive sounds, while often very subtle, play a crucial role in enabling words to flow together like a gentle, uninterrupted stream, making speech sound much more natural and less choppy. Now, I understand that hearing about all these different types of connected speech might make you feel a little bit overwhelmed, and that's a completely normal reaction. Please don't worry. The absolute key here is not to try and memorize every single rule or phonetic change. Instead, the real power lies in awareness. It's about training your ear, gradually and consistently, to notice these subtle yet powerful changes in spoken English. Once you consciously start actively listening for them, you'll be absolutely amazed at how frequently they occur in everyday conversations. And the more you notice them in others' speech, the more natural and effortless they will become for you to produce in your own speaking. So, how can you effectively practice this and incorporate it into your English learning routine? Well, the very best way, hands down, is through active listening, which, coincidentally, is exactly what we champion here on English Active Listening. First, make it a game to listen for reductions and connected speech in every English conversation you encounter. Pay deliberate attention to how native speakers effortlessly link their words. If you're watching a movie, a TV series, listening to a podcast, or even just overhearing a conversation, consciously try to pick out these blending and changing patterns. Don't be afraid to pause and replay short sentences multiple times. For example, if you hear someone say, "What ya doin'?" Recognize that whatcha is a very common and natural reduction of what are you. Or if someone casually says, I gotta go now, understand that gotta is simply the natural fast pronunciation of got to. The more you identify these, the more quickly your brain will start to process them automatically. Second, don't just listen passively, actively mimic what you hear. This is crucial for truly internalizing these patterns. Try your best to imitate the way native speakers connect their words, focusing not just on the individual sounds, but on the overall rhythm and flow. If you hear someone say, "How's it going?" try saying it yourself repeatedly, paying close attention to how "how's it" blends together. An excellent technique here is to record yourself speaking the phrase, and then compare your pronunciation to the original. This immediate feedback loop is a fantastic way to refine your pronunciation and develop a more natural English rhythm. Third, practice with specific targeted examples. Let's do some right now, together. I'm going to say a common phrase very slowly and deliberately, and then I'll say it naturally, as a native speaker would. Your task is to actively listen for the difference, try to identify the connected speech pattern, and then repeat the natural version aloud, trying to match my pronunciation and rhythm. Are you ready? Let's give it a go. Practice phrase 1. Want to eat? Slowly. Want to eat? Naturally. Want to teat? Now it's your turn. Say it aloud. Want to teat? Feel that flow? Practice phrase 2. Could you help me? Slowly. Could you help me? Naturally. Could you help me? Your turn. Try to replicate that juha sound. Could you help me? Practice phrase 3. Did she go? Slowly. Did she go? Naturally. Did she go? Give it a try. Did she go? Practice phrase 4. I need a pen. Slowly. I need a pen. Naturally. I need a pen. Your go now. I need a pen. Practice phrase 5. He passed out. Slowly. He passed out. Naturally. He passed out. Give it a try. He passed out. Fantastic. You are absolutely doing a wonderful job. Remember, the aim isn't to achieve flawless, native-like pronunciation from day one. It's about building this crucial awareness, gradually training your ears to recognize these patterns, and slowly, gently, training your mouth to produce them more naturally over time. Finally, incorporate reading aloud into your practice routine. Select a short passage, perhaps from a book, an article, or even the transcript of a podcast you enjoy. Read it aloud, but instead of pronouncing each word in isolation, consciously try to connect the words smoothly, aiming for that natural, fluid rhythm. Start slowly, focusing on linking and reducing sounds where appropriate, and then gradually increase your reading speed as you become more comfortable. Pay close attention to how the words feel in your mouth when they're linked together. This kinesthetic feedback is incredibly valuable. Let's take a moment to recap the essential concepts we've covered today. We've journeyed into the fascinating and crucial world of connected speech, understanding that it's the primary reason why native speakers often sound like they're running words together when they speak quickly. We delved into 4 main categories of connected speech. Linking. This is where a sound at the end of one word seamlessly connects to the beginning of the next word. The most common form is consonant to vowel linking, where, for instance, pick it up naturally becomes pick it up. We also touched on subtle vowel to vowel linking with intrusive Y or W sounds. Assimilation. This is when a sound changes its quality to become more similar to a neighboring sound, making pronunciation easier. Remember our examples like did you, transforming into did you, and don't you, becoming don't you. Elision. This refers to instances where a sound is completely dropped or disappears in natural speech. Think of the disappearing T in next door becoming next door, or the D in and vanishing in fish and chips. Intrusive sounds. These are subtle we, w, or even r sounds that are not part of the original spelling, but are inserted to smooth the transition between two vowel sounds, like go out sometimes sounding like go out. By truly understanding and actively listening for these fundamental concepts, you're not just passively learning about how English is spoken. You're actively gaining powerful, practical tools for understanding it with greater precision, and for speaking it with a much more natural, native-like accent and rhythm. It truly is like learning the secret language within the language itself. The journey to English fluency is indeed a marathon, not a sprint. And every single step you take, like investing your time in understanding connected speech, brings you significantly closer to your ultimate goal. Please do not get discouraged if you don't instantly catch every single linked or reduced word at first. It takes time, it takes consistent and dedicated effort, and it requires lots and lots of active listening. But I can promise you, with diligent practice and persistent effort, you will undoubtedly start noticing these intricate patterns more and more, and your overall comprehension of spoken English will absolutely soar. As always, the more you immerse yourself in authentic, real-world English, whether that's listening to engaging podcasts, watching captivating movies or TV shows, singing along to your favorite English songs, or simply engaging in conversations with native speakers, the more abundant opportunities you'll have to hear connected speech in its natural environment. And critically, the more you consciously try to mimic and replicate these patterns in your own speaking, the more effortlessly natural they will become for you. Thank you so much for joining me today on English Active Listening. I sincerely hope this detailed exploration into the world of connected speech has been truly enlightening for you and has equipped you with valuable practical tools to further enhance your already impressive English skills. Remember to keep practicing diligently, keep listening actively with purpose, and most importantly, never be afraid to make mistakes, for they are not setbacks, but merely essential stepping stones on your magnificent path to success. Join me again next time for Part 7 of How to Speak English Fast and Understand Natives, where we will continue to unravel the fascinating mysteries of rapid English and help you transform into an incredibly confident and highly skilled English speaker and listener. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning with passion, and keep enjoying every moment of this wonderful journey of mastering the English language. This is Alyssa, signing off from English Active Listening. See you next time.